Hey, what's going on? My name's Vit, and in this video we're going to be talking about how I'm preparing for Dawntrail, as well as some stuff that I'm planning for post-launch. So what am I doing day one, week one, and moving forward? It's really nothing crazy. I want to preface this by saying none of this is super important. I could probably log out for the next 2 weeks, not touch the game, log back in at launch, and have just as much fun. So don't stress if you feel like you need to prep every last thing. If you're going for like hardcore crafting and gathering, maybe. But if you're just looking to play the game casually, you really don't need to prep anything, despite what everybody else is saying. But I started looking at some things and thought, hey, maybe there's a few things that I want to get in order before launch. So we're going to jump into some of that. I'll also say that I am not into that hardcore crafting and gathering stuff. I'm going to take my time and, get to that when I get to it. My priority is going to be on the, battle focused side of things more so. And I'm not really super into like min-maxing everything and trying to speed level the new jobs and get everything to max as quickly as possible. I'm going to be very casual about this with the launch of Dawntrail, and I'm going to take my time and really enjoy the new expansion and just experience things as they come. But again, there's a few things that we're going to look at in this video that are super easy to get in order before launch. We've still got about 2 weeks here, give or take. But it's just some basic stuff, some housekeeping, and let's just jump into it and see what we're looking at. So in this time before launch, there hasn't been a whole lot going on in the game. I've pretty much just been killing time, doing mentor roulette, although I don't think I'm going to finish the 2,000 needed for the mount before that expansion launches. I'm still like 700 and something away, so I've pretty much given up on that. I've also been farming T, or attempting to farm T, the Epic of Alexander, for more of these shiny weapons, but that hasn't been going super well either. So I've pretty much given up on that as well. But there's some more simple stuff we can focus on. I'm going to start moving my attention more towards, making sure everything's in order for Dawntrail. And there's really only two things that I think are worth prepping, and that's your currencies and your inventory. And we'll just talk about some of that stuff. So if I open up my currency tab, we're pretty much just going to go through all this. We'll start with Gil here. I have over 50 million. I have a little bit tied up in a bid on a house, and I'm likely to get that back because it's been weeks of trying to get a house and I never win it. So I'll probably get a bit more. But Gil in this game is not super critical. If you've got a couple mil, you're probably good. At the start of Endwalker, I had maybe 3 million, and to be fair, I've played this game quite a lot, and I haven't really gone out of my way to farm Gil much. The only thing I've done is Unreal for the mounts and minions that you get with the Unreal currency, and I've sold a good number of those. I've probably made like 25 million out of that over this expansion. But the rest of the skill has come from like stuff my retainers brought me and, random roulette rewards, I guess. I don't know. It kind of just trickles in over time. Again, I do play this game quite a lot. But I've also spent quite a lot. I've probably spent like 10 million on like random stuff from the market boards. Probably even more than that. I probably spent another 10 million on buying and furnishing my small house, and probably another 10 million on leveling, like speed leveling and gearing all of my crafters and gatherers somewhat recently. Just buying a lot of the items for turn-ins to level them quicker. And then of course the gear. So I don't know. I haven't been like stingy with my Gil this expansion, and it's still added up very quickly. I think we're kind of past the point where you can really, start stockpiling Gil. There's only 2 weeks left, but I want to stress that it's not super important to have, 50 million Gil. If you've just got like 2 or 3 million, you should be pretty comfy. The only thing it's really useful for at the start of the expansion is when that crafting and not crafting and gathering, when the crafted raid gear drops. But again, that's still like a month after launch, so I don't know. You got time to work on that, and if you really are struggling for gil, hopefully you have your crafters and gatherers leveled and can potentially make that stuff on your own. But you got time to sort that out, so gil's not really a stress. We got company seals here. Those are so easy to come by. There's likely to be some new materials, maybe the new repair materials, the dark matter. We might get a new level of that, so it'll be good to have some of these to stock up on that at the start. Ventures, whatever, just have a bunch for your retainers. MGP, not super important. Maybe there's some new items, but I don't know. Not too much you can do at this point if you don't have much MGP. I don't. I never go into the gold saucer. I don't spend any time in there. But we'll see if there's any cool new mounts or anything. Maybe I'll have to start grinding that out. But let's get to the actual important currencies, which are tomestones. So ideally, you want to be capped on all of these, like I am. Both of the causality and comedy tomestones are going to become obsolete. Everything's going to move to poetics currently. And then we'll have two new versions of these as well. But you'll be able to trade in these causality and comedy tomestones for poetics at the start of the expansion. And with the new expansion, you'll be able to buy the current 660 upgraded tome gear with poetics, which is nice. If you don't have all your jobs geared to current best in slot, you'll be able to get them close to best in slot. The tome gear is not all best in slot, but it'll be good enough for leveling. So you'll be able to do that for any of the jobs that you need to. And I believe these are like a 4-to-1 conversion when you trade in the comedy and causality. So what's that? You'll get an extra 1,000 poetics. So I don't know. I don't need to do that. I've been best in slot on every single job in the game for months now. So I don't really have a real reason for this. However, with the poetics, one thing that I am looking to do is to go and buy the level 80 gear for scouting and casting for Viper and Pictomancer. So you'll be able to go in there and make sure you get that 530 augmented Crypt Lurkers gear. You can go buy that from Yulmore for just poetics right now. You can do that now, get it prepped. So once Dawntrail launches, you at least have good level 80 gear for those jobs if you're planning on leveling them immediately. Or whenever you do get to leveling them. So stocking up on that gear now is probably a very good plan. I should go do that and spend some of these poetics while I can. Maybe get a few more, because I don't think I'm going to be able to get both gear sets with my current tomes here. I'll probably have to spend some time doing that. I'm not in a big rush to level Picto or Viper, but it'll be good to have that gear. You could also even go stock up on some of the level, maybe like 85 to 87 gear as well, because that 80 tome gear will carry you through leveling about halfway through the current level range, up to like 85, 87. You're on a DPS, so you could maybe even get all the way to 90 on that gear. You're going to be dead weight by the end of that, running your dungeons or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably going to pick up that gear, and that's how I'm going to be spending my tomes. There might be some more poetic options to spend them on as well, so I don't know. We'll see what comes of that, but it's mainly just for gearing alt jobs that you don't have geared currently. So outside of that, we've got the PvP currencies, which I have mostly capped. My trophy crystals could use a little work, but I'm not about to jump into more PvP right now. I'll wait for the new stuff. But I don't know, they might add some new gear or whatever, some glam pieces in the PvP vendors, so having some wolf marks and trophy crystals is probably a good idea, because there's always lots of cool stuff in there, in those PvP vendors. So I don't know, another little currency you could cap out on. Basically just cap all your currencies is the moral of the story here. With hunts, it's interesting because we've been on sacks of nuts for 2 expansions now. These are, you know, like if you go do any of the hunts from Shadowbringers or Endwalker, you get these And these can be traded in for a number of different things, but it'll be interesting to see if we get a new hunt currency in Dawntrail. I'm kind of expecting we do, but if we don't, it doesn't really matter. The sacks of nuts work and keep older hunts more relevant as well, so I'm okay either way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to go out of my way to cap these myself because I'm going to be running the new hunt trains with Dawntrail with the new A ranks, and like in order to get a bunch of the new materia for raiding, that's going to be a whole process. So I'm going to pretty quickly, you know, get the new currency or fill up on the old one. I don't think there's going to be anything too urgent to spend these old currencies on, but you never know. So it's something you could do. Make sure you're capped on these if you want. But personally, I know I'm going to be spending a whole bunch of time with the new hunt trains. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to leave these be for now. There's a lot of things I just can't really be bothered with in these last few weeks. I'm trying not to get burnt out before the expansion launch. So I'm kind of taking a break from a lot of this little side stuff because I know I'm going to be doing a lot of it with the new expansion. In the same vein, we have Fates and bicolored gemstones, which can be traded in for, you know, lots of different stuff in each of the world zones. You get these by just farming Fates. And we have like our Fate, shared Fate log, which, you know, all the different zones have different, not different currencies, but different vendors that you can spend the currency at and get music, or even a mount. If you get a ton of these, you have to farm out so many right now. So there should be some cool stuff associated with this, but again, Fates are a thing that I'm going to be spending a whole lot of time in on launch because I'll want to be leveling and grinding out all those different Fate zones. So, you know, I'm not too worried about capping this because it's going to fill up a bit anyway as I do those new Fates. So not super important there. The next thing's probably crafters and gatherer scripts. Again, I don't really know too much about crafting and gathering. I'm still fairly new to it, so I'm not going to talk like I know a whole lot here, but I am planning on trying to fill these up a little bit over the next 2 weeks or so, just by doing my custom deliveries. Make sure to do the ones that have a bonus and you'll get a little extra, but you'll be able to maybe use these for new gear, or just useful materials. Even if you're not planning on crafting and gathering, you should probably be able to sell those materials on the market board and make a good chunk of gil at the start of launch. So filling up on these is really going to be useful. I'm not sure which one of these is going away. I think it's the white scripts that might go away, and we'll be working with purple scripts moving forward. I'm not entirely sure. It might be the other way around. But again, similar to the normal tomestones, one of these you'll be able to convert into the other. So having both of them capped will be really useful. Just be able to spend as many as possible at launch. I guess you could do some collectibles as well if you want to really farm these out before launch. So you should be able to cap on these, no problem. But, you know, I'm in a pretty comfy spot. I've got a good number of them. And, you know, 2 more weeks of custom deliveries, I should be close to cap, if not there. The last thing in the currency tab here is just beast tribes. None of this is relevant, so we won't worry about that. The Arcasadora is going to be a great way to level Picto and Viper from 80 to 90, and that's probably the way I'll be doing it. Just super casually, doing dailies with the elephants. And yeah, we'll see. That's probably how I'm going to do it, because again, I'm not in a huge rush to level those jobs, but yeah, the currencies here really don't matter, because you'll probably have all of what you need out of those by now. So the last currency that I want to talk about is over here in Idleshire with the Foe Commander, and that's the Foe Leaves from Unreal every week. So you do Unreal, you play the minigame, and you get these Foe Leaves, and you can exchange them for mounts and minions. We've only got, what, two more weeks of Unreal? I did it this week. I was trying to cap out on these, and I totally screwed up my Foe Hollows, where you have to uncover the swords, and you can play the game twice, and I did that and then came back for the retelling and was wondering why it wasn't working. Well, because it's because I forgot to uncover a single tile of the swords, and I missed out on a good chunk of these currencies, the faux leaves this week. So whatever, I still have 815 out of 1,000. You need 600 for a mount and 400 for a minion. Again, this is kind of just a last minute thing. If you're not currently already doing Unreal, it's probably a bit late to try to learn the fight and, you know, get into this before launch, because I don't know, it wouldn't hurt to have 2 weeks of currency stocked up, but yeah, I'm trying to cap this because then on the launch of the new Unreal, I would be able to buy a mount and a minion and potentially sell those on the market board day one for a ton of gil. The mounts might go for like 15 million and the minions are probably somewhere around 10 million. So I don't know, that's big money if I'm capped on this currency. We don't know if we're going to get a new Unreal at launch or at 7.1. So I think that's still to be determined, but either way, having the currency up front will ensure that, you know, you can buy them day one. And I'm just glad to stop fighting Thordan every single week, twice a week. So, you know, getting this done is, I'm going to be very happy to not be doing this every single week. So I wouldn't mind a patch to take a break from Unreal. But again, it'd be cool if we get a new Unreal on launch as well. That'd be really fun. So fingers crossed, hopefully it's Nidhogg EX. And, you know, Nidhogg level 90 could be really interesting in Party Finder. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes, I guess. But yeah, looking forward to making some money with this. All right, so that pretty much does it for the currencies. Really nothing crazy. And again, if you don't cap on any of these currencies, it's not a huge deal. Like, you'll be able to fill them quickly enough with the new expansion that it's not really worth stressing over if, you know, you don't get to it in the next 2 weeks, or if you're kind of lagging behind on any of them. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Again, if you're a hardcore crafter or gatherer, I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff you want to prep, but that's not what this video is about. There are other people who know much more than I do about that. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the currencies. Again, the next thing is basically just inventory stuff. So obviously cleaning out your inventory is huge. I know a lot of you watching this right now have every single spot full on your inventory, and it's been like that the entire expansion. I don't know how you live like this, but to each their own, I suppose. Mine usually looks something like this. I've got some random triple triad cards and minions that I need to get rid of. I've got like an entire Heaven's Word relic worth of materials down here that I've just been procrastinating. Maybe I go through and, you know, finish off that, or start and finish that Black Mage Heaven's Word relic that I've been wanting to do. I've got some random miscellaneous stuff down here, Moogle tomestones and, you know, random raid gear from Asphodelos that I thought I might have wanted for glam reasons, but it's been sitting in my inventory for months now and I haven't used it, so I should probably just chuck that stuff. Got some random, like, deep dungeon and PvP stuff down here. I don't know, just random stuff that I could probably clean up a little bit. Current potions and food, which I'll probably just use for leveling in the new expansion. That'll get replaced with new stuff. But the one thing I really want to talk about here is Materia, because I have possibly between 1,500 and 2,000 Materia sitting here in my inventory, all Materia 10s and 9s, and these will become irrelevant. So the one thing you can do with these is come over here to Thanalan and trade them in with Mutamix here. You can actually transmute these materia. If you give him 5 of the same grade, he'll give back one materia that you did not trade in. So if I give him 5 different ones, that takes those out of the loot pool. So I would get something different back of the same level. But there's also like a 5% chance that it's upgraded one level. So if I give him 5 10s, there's a 5% chance I get back an 11 when Dawntrail's out. So that's going to be my plan. Even if I don't get the upgrades, hopefully I can trade these into crafting and gathering materia as well, because those are more expensive. I don't know if I will have the patience to go through and do this for 1500 plus materia. It's kind of a slow process. I might just give up on this. I should have sold these like forever ago, but I've just been sitting on them this entire expansion. And these all just come from like hunt trains or just like random level 90 dungeons where they come out of chests. But yeah, I'm going to be holding these until Dawntrail so that I can trade them in hopes of getting rank 11 materia. The 9s could go to 10s and the 10s could go to 11s. And I should get a bunch of crafting and gathering materia out of this. So I don't know, it might be fairly profitable because right now these are not worth much at all on the market board. I've thought about selling them in the past, but it was just really never worth the time. So I don't know. I'm just going to sit on them for now until the launch of Dawntrail and try to transmute them with Mutamix here. So again, my inventory's in a pretty good spot. I got a little bit more cleaning up to do, but the other things you can't forget about are your armory chest, chocobo saddlebags, and retainers, as well as your glamour dresser. So make sure to clean all those out as well. I think the armory chest is going to be the most annoying part because, you know, you're going to have all sorts of leveling gear as we go. So going through and cleaning this up a bit is pretty important because I don't have many spots left. Again, I have all of the jobs worth of gear in here, but as I start leveling things, I'm not looking forward to managing this. The next thing's kind of like your chocobo saddlebag. My retainers are in a good spot, so I'm not going to talk about those, but again, you know, I'm sure I have some old stuff in my retainers that could be thrown out. I know they're nowhere near full, but my chocobo saddlebag is full of random junk, a bunch of like weapon glams that I might want to use at any given time while I'm out and about. Some old currencies and stuff that I can probably chuck when I need to, but I got a little bit of space in here. Most of it is actually, most of the space in here is actually tied up in dyes, which are going to become very useful in the new expansion because we're getting dual dye channels. So I expect the market for dyes to continue from this point on to just go up and up. The value and price of dyes on the market board are going to just keep climbing. So it might be a good time to stock up on dyes, to maybe even go buy some off the market board yourself. This is kind of just my personal collection for things that I use. I've never tried to play the market board for dyes, but yeah, I don't know. Stocking up now is probably a good plan, and potentially selling some of these at launch when everybody's trying to dye their new parts of gear that weren't previously dyeable. So something else to consider. I don't know. I'm probably just going to keep these for myself and dye my own gear. I'll probably be the one buying all the dye on the market board. So yeah, I don't know. Keep an eye out. Maybe I'll buy yours. So the last piece of inventory management is the glamour dresser. It's going to be important to have some free space in there. I know myself and many people included, we're sitting at that 800 cap for items in here, and I managed to clear it out a little bit and pare it down to 750, so I got 50 free spots. A lot of this is filled up with great swords and dragoon lances, but you know, I'm sure there's still some stuff in here I could pare down a little bit, but I figure 50 spots is probably enough for some new dungeon gear, maybe some job gear, whatever comes out with the launch of the new expansion. But yeah, I don't know. I made sure to, this was one of the first things I prepped, was coming in here and making sure I had some free space, because hopefully all the new dungeons actually have some new creative gear. Hopefully it's not just a whole bunch of recolors again. But you never know. I don't expect them to increase that 800 cap for the glamour dresser space. They just recently did that from 400 to 800, I believe it was. and realistically 800 is probably enough. I mean, I have stuff in here for every single job in the game, and you know, it's pretty full, but I could narrow it down a bit. So just a reminder to check out your glamour dresser and maybe get rid of some old stuff in there that you haven't used in a while. That might be easy to reacquire if you need it. So the next thing that I want to talk about for preparation for Dawntrail is when it comes to leveling. There's really not a whole lot to do here. The big thing is your Wondrous Tales. You can prep a Wondrous Tales book the week before Dawntrail launches. What am I doing here? Inventory. My Wondrous Tales has been expired for weeks now, but you can go grab one from Chloe the week before launch, complete it, and then on launch turn it in for half a level. So I'll probably do that for either Viper or Pictomancer. Probably Pictomancer to start, I think, since I'm already going to be playing a bunch of melee, I think. So I don't know. Day one, I'll drop that on Picto probably, and that'll get half a level right off the bat. That's probably the biggest thing you can do to prep leveling beforehand. Outside of that, it's kind of just doing like maybe your challenge log. You could prep some of these. Some easy ones would be these dungeons, because these all give EXP. I'm not sure how much actually, but I know it's like a decent little chunk. So if you were to complete like 4 out of 5 dungeons and like 2 of 3 duty roulettes leading up into the expansion, you know, you could go do 1 roulette dungeon and it would complete both of them. You could also prep a bunch of these other ones. Maybe like the commendations would be an easy one. You know, there's probably a bunch of others as well. Maybe like fates could be easy. This could be some quick EXP. I've also seen some people mention that like they're gonna go around and prep a bunch of side quests, but not turn them in, and you know, hold them for the expansion and then just turn in a bunch of side quests. It's something you could do. That seems a little too sweaty for me, but not something I care to do myself for the little amount of EXP those give. Like if you maxed out your quest log on completed side quests and went around turning them all in, like, I don't know, what are you gonna get? Half a level? It might be worth it to you. Maybe more than half a level? I don't really know. I just know that these don't give a ton, so I don't know. The thing I'm going to be doing is focusing again on the Arcasadora tribe quests. Day one, I'm going to go unlock Picto and Viper and just start those dailies just to get them some slow levels. This is not a guide on how to speed level those jobs day one. If you want to do that, I'm sure there's info out there. Your best bet's probably just to grind dungeons, maybe hop into Bosnia and grind stuff in there. But that's kind of the last thing that I personally want to be doing with the launch of the new expansion. I don't know. I get it if you want to play the expansion on the new jobs, going through MSQ on Viper or Picto, have fun. But I don't know. I'm gonna play a job that's already at 90, not need to grind it out. I'm excited enough to hop back in on Dragoon, see some of those changes. Yeah, I don't know. If you want to speed level those day one, by all means. There's not really a great way to do it. You can maybe find some more things to min-max with the leveling setup. Obviously have your FC experience buff, have a food buff going. Log out beforehand in a city, so you get that well-rested EXP bonus. You're a psychopath if you don't do that to begin with, if you're logging out in the overworld. But yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot I'm personally doing for leveling prep. I think the Wondrous Tales book is probably the biggest thing, because then you'll be able to do another one as well, and that'll basically get you through a whole level. The other thing is that if you've pre-ordered the game, you probably got the special leveling earring already, Azema's earrings. This gives a 30% EXP buff from 80 to 90. It It says 80 to 90, but it also works from 90 to 91. So this will at least be good on the first level of every 90 job that you have. So it's not completely useless. Obviously, that'll be very good for Picto and Viper as well, getting that 30% boost. But outside of that, it's pretty much only good for the first level of all the other jobs and anything else that you might be catching up on. I have all my jobs max level right now, so if you're still leveling jobs, this is pretty huge. If you haven't pre-ordered the game yet, make sure you grab this, because that will certainly speed things up. But that pretty much does it for leveling and all of my prep. But now I want to talk about what I'm going to be jumping into day one, week one, and moving forward. So what are my plans for actual launch? Well, I'm going to be streaming the whole thing over on Twitch. If you're not following over there, there's a link in the description to my Twitch channel. I'm not going to be streaming on server up, so I'll try to stream a little later into the day and probably take my time getting into the MSQ a bit, just to give people a chance to get a head start ahead of me, so they can still hang out and enjoy the stream without getting spoiled completely. If I'm streaming MSQ at server up, it's, nobody's going to want to watch. So we'll take our time with it at the start, but I do plan on jumping into some MSQ day one. Of course, I'm just super excited to get started, get the ball rolling. So going to be streaming, obviously going to be making a bunch of videos. I think as soon as I log in on day one, I'm just going to try to take in the new graphics. I think that's one of the first things that I'm super excited about. I can't wait to just see how this game looks, see how all of the existing characters and zones and lighting look. That's, I think, going to be the first thing off the bat that we just take a few minutes to appreciate, see how things have changed. Other than that, I think immediately I'm going to go unlock Picto and Viper, like I mentioned, and potentially start leveling them through dailies, just to get the ball rolling on that, do my beast tribes, get that out of the way early. But again, not going to spend a whole lot of time actually trying to level those. But what I will do is swap over to some of the level 90 jobs that have gotten significant changes. So like maybe Dragoon, Astro, Monk. I want to check those out in-game. I'm assuming we'll have all of the finalized info and job actions before launch, but even so, I just want to hop on those jobs, maybe hit a striking dummy, and see how they feel to play with some of the major changes that some jobs have underwent. Even though they won't be max level, even just the level 90 jobs should feel slightly different in certain cases. I don't know offhand which ones more so than others, other than those three that I just mentioned, Dragoon, Astro, Monk. Those are three that I'm pretty excited to play, so I really want to see what those are like, and that will help me make a final decision on what jobs that I want to take through MSQ. I'm pretty much 100% certain I'm taking Dragoon, and I think I've narrowed it down to one other melee. My reason for this is that you can basically level two different jobs just through the MSQ quest EXP. So I figure it's best to take two DPS through. If you do tank and healer, I don't know. It's a little easier to level tank and healer by spamming dungeons. You have basically instant queues, even more so in Dawntrail, because we're going to have tanks and healers in need with two new DPS jobs. Everybody's going to be playing and leveling those in their roulettes. So I think it'll be super easy outside of MSQ to level tank and healer. So I don't want to take those through MSQ. I'd rather level those after the fact by just quickly running dungeons or doing fates or whatever. And I think I want to do two melee. One, because I primarily play melee. And two, there's now 6 melee jobs where every other role only has 4, except for Fizz Range, they've only got 3 jobs. So I think if I get 2 melee out of the way, it kind of levels everything out. Everything's got 4 or 3 jobs. So, it's a little more balanced. Ideally, I'd like to have one of every role leveled by the time Savage raids come out, just to have them. I'll probably have even more than that done, but yeah, I don't know. I think hopping into MSQ with 2 different melee jobs makes the most sense for me personally. Obviously, if you're a tank or healer main, whatever, feel free, but you should be able to get 2 jobs leveled through the story quests alone. So I think, you know, picking 2 that you expect to play or are most looking forward to is a solid plan. But after MSQ, I think I'm just going to try to hop into the new Extreme Trials. We'll see what they are, but we should have 2 of them back to back right at launch. And I am super excited to learn those, to practice the new level 100 rotations in there, and start farming out mounts and just playing a whole bunch of jobs in there. I want to spend more time playing every role this expansion, tank, healer, DPS. So I don't know. I'm going to have a lot of time trying to farm those mounts, I expect, to get some practice in before the raids come out. I believe normal raids come out 2 weeks later, and then Savage 4 weeks later after launch. So that'll leave us plenty of time to get comfy in those extreme trials, practice rotations, learn how things work, see what jobs work best, what team comps work best. That's all going to go out the window because I'm going to be in Party Finder anyway, but for Savage. And yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, I'm just going to be leveling more jobs. My plan here on the channel is to make a video for every job about how they play, what rotations work, how they work, what they work like. That's what I was trying to say. And, you know, maybe do some guides on some of them that I'm a little more familiar with. But we'll see how that goes. Again, I have to level the jobs first, so that's going to be pretty spread out. But I'll try to make a playlist here on YouTube of all those different job videos when I get to them. But that's going to be a huge priority for me. That sounds really fun. That's just what I enjoy about this game, leveling and learning all the different jobs. And hopefully we can share that with you here on the channel. Outside of that, I'm going to be running Fates to get some of that leveling done. I'm going to be hopefully running some hunt trains, like I mentioned, to stock up on Materia for pentamelding for Savage. Gonna have to meld all that crafting gear. I guess I'll maybe, if I have time, level some crafters and gatherers on the side. Like I mentioned, it's not really a huge priority for me, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to be running my dailies, leveling the jobs, having some fun. Hopefully there's some new surprises, what comes along with this expansion. Maybe we'll get some new maps as well. Yeah, and then it's kind of just the waiting game for the raids to come out after that. So, I don't know. There's not a whole lot to do in the meantime. Obviously, the launch of the expansion is getting super hype. There's only, give or take, 2 weeks left, depending on when you're watching this video. So it's coming up really quick, and I couldn't be more excited at this point. I'm so ready for new content. This game has just been in dire need of it for far too long now. I've been trying to stream, and it's just like, well, there's nothing to do. So it's going to be a breath of fresh air when Dawntrail comes out. So hopefully this helped. I know everybody and their mother has made a Dawntrail prep video, but hopefully my thoughts and approach to it might have given you some insight. Again, nothing to stress. You could log out and not prep anything and have just as much fun when Dawntrail launches. So don't take it too seriously. If you want to be real sweaty about it, if that's your thing, enjoy. But I'm going to be taking my time and enjoying the new expansion and hopefully sharing that whole journey here along the way. So thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for sticking with it. Hop in the Discord there's a link in the description if you're interested. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody who's been watching these videos. I've been at this for about 3 months now, making these videos, and it's been incredible to see all the support from you guys, even if you're just here watching videos. It means a ton to me, so thank you for sticking around, and, you know, more videos to come. I'm trying to get at least one a week out. Maybe we'll increase that with Dawntrail. I should get more serious about this when Dawntrail launches as well, so busy times coming up. But yeah, the last thing I forgot to mention is that we have Elden Ring DLC coming up too, so got to prep for that as well and get that done the week before Dawntrail. So lots to do, lots to play. Hope you have a good one. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video. Peace.